Welcome back, everybody. Welcome. I hope you all had a wonderful Sunday, a wonderful day of integration from this beautiful retreat we were all on. Yeah, yeah. Retreats can be hard. They can be beautiful, but at the end of the day, we have to look at, well, what is our life about? What is our life about? Is it about healing and awakening? Or is our life about just chasing our desires or just living in some kind of unconscious, habitual way? And of course, if you're here, we all know the answer. We all know the answer. And so a deep bow of respect to each of you for showing up so fully on the retreat and giving of yourself. No, truly, I just so deeply respect each of you for your commitment to this path. And so let's do this. Let's shut down our eyes. And again, just feeling into the space of the heart. And noticing right here, right now, as we breathe, as we feel, as we experience, are you awake to this quiet, ever present experience of divinity? Are we awake to that which is awake? And of course, if there is a little bit of mental chatter here, if there's any tightness or tension, we're softening that. We're surrendering this. And stepping into the ever-present beauty, intimacy of this moment. Meditation is a way where we gently acknowledge that what you are, what you have always been, is divine. Is divine. So with each and every breath, as we journey inward, we are recognizing in the directness of our experience that what we are is divine. And there's different times on the path when we need to get out a little bit of a crowbar, create a little distance between us and our egoic psychological nature, and it's okay to smile a little bit at that dance. And sometimes we get so confused on the path, so confused in this world. And so meditation is a time where we drop everything and we simply breathe and we feel and we open. And so together in this moment, as we're breathing deeply into the body, we notice a very gentle radiance right here in the depth of the heart. A radiance which has no past, which has no struggle. A radiance which is simply love. And that's the invitation of this moment, is to be this love, to be this light. And of course, if there are things within our body, or unconscious pain or heartache, we're inviting this love to embrace that, to nurture it, to calm any difficulty or any tension, any sadness or heartache. And so with each and every breath, we are opening to our divinity. And with each and every exhale, we're letting go of any delusions, any old pain or sadness, and deepening to this quiet beauty which is here. And so as we continue to breathe, I invite you to descend more deeply into the heart. More deeply into the hara. And just noticing what happens to our experience. The more fully we let go, the more deeply we open up. You may notice this column of light coming online as you open in the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, solar plexus, and the belly. And all day long, we tend to be unconsciously enamored by the movements of our mind. But in this moment, I invite you to be enamored by this inward flow of divinity, this immense column of light, space, peace, depth. As we explore this fundamental question, who am I? What is it that I am? Am I a movement of thought and emotion? Or am I this vast, spacious presence? Am I this brilliant, radiant light? So breathing, feeling, opening. Quiet depth of your being. Surrendering that which is untrue. And opening to that which is true. Surrendering that which is untrue. Opening to that which is true. So as we feel into this column of light, if you're sensitive, you may notice this gentle upward flow of divinity flowing up through your legs, to your hips, your pelvis. It's very gentle flow, flowing up from the earth, through the bottoms of your feet, through your legs, to your hips and your pelvis, beginning to flow up the spine. Enlivening the body. Waking up the chakra centers as it flows, the root to the hara, solar plexus, pouring into the heart. And just noticing what happens when this light flows up from the earth, pouring into the space of the heart. Expanding the heart, flooding it with love, filling the entirety of the chest and beyond. Continue to flow up into the throat chakra, flowing into the space of the mind. And if there's any discursive thoughts in the mind, just allowing this light almost to kind of clear those out, to sweep them away, realigning your human self with that which is higher. So again, this beautiful energy, vibrant divinity, waking up in the space of the earth and flowing up to the bottoms of the feet, the legs, to the root, to the hara, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, pouring out the top of the crown. It's like a volcanic upsurge of light coming up from the earth and pouring into heaven. And then with that, the grace of heaven beginning to pour down from above, down through the crown to the space of the third eye, and just noticing this energy of heavenly light pouring down into you, perhaps smiling at how blessed we are. This grace of the earth, the grace of heaven, the grace of your true nature. And so this heavenly light pouring down from above, merging with the heavenly light of earth, and flooding down into the space of the heart. As we breathe, as we feel, as we open, receiving this blessing. The merging of this light, light from heaven and light from earth. All this grace here supporting your awakening, supporting your embodiment, supporting the healing, of your humanity, the healing of all humanity. And so just gently noticing as this energy descends down, get through the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, to the solar plexus, the hara, to the root, the legs, the feet, pouring down into the earth. And then with that, the earth responds as this light comes up. Again, through the feet, to the legs, to the root. With each and every breath, noticing this ascending light and simultaneously this descending light. By now, you may feel yourself almost as a brilliant lighthouse. And for some of you, if you feel some pressure, it can be helpful if you can invite your mind to expand on the horizontal plane, and the heart to expand on the horizontal plane, inviting the hara and the root to expand on the horizontal plane. There's lots of room here. The grace of the divine to flow. Tremendous room. This heavenly transmission. And so next, I'm just going to invite you just to sit back and just letting these forces of light flow. As you simply breathe, feel, open, and acknowledge the immensity of your divinity, the immensity of this grace. The immensity of this moment. So we're breathing, feeling, and acknowledging that what you are is divine. That what this world is divine. So breathing, feeling, softening. And recognizing that what you are, what you've always been, is divine. And so taking a couple more deep, full breaths. Inviting this recognition to take root within this consciousness. What I am is divine. What this world is divine. What this moment is divine. And so you can gently open your eyes, and I welcome you to Satsang. Welcome you into the beauty and the divinity of this moment. Now, we live in quite a bizarre world. Quite a bizarre world. Now, here we are, these beings who are absolutely divine. And we are given a flesh body that's full of all this programming, a tremendous amount of programming. And it's an interesting thing to navigate this. And most of us, we don't really know how to navigate this life. Most of us, we just go, with whatever thoughts are in our mind, whatever our ego is telling us. I had this funny experience, just not too long ago. Now, Halloween, I believe, just happened a couple days ago. But my little girl, just a while ago, I took her to Home Depot. I'm not even sure what we were doing there, getting something for the house. But as soon as Halloween was over, like immediately, they put up all those Christmas decorations. And they're just, of course, like just trying to get you, to buy, all the things for Christmas. They're talking about Black Friday, this, and that. I'm like, man, I don't think we did Thanksgiving yet. Like when I was a kid, there used to be this rule, I do one holiday at a time. So when Halloween was over, then we do the Thanksgiving decorations. We do that for a month. And you couldn't have out any Christmas stuff until after Thanksgiving. But anyways, so I had my daughter at the store. And then today, we were outside just in the yard and kind of hanging out, just being outside and enjoying the beauty, this wonderful fall afternoon. And my daughter, she had one of her friends over, and the two of them were singing Christmas carols and singing about Santa Claus and this and that. And this is just the nature of the ego. Like the nature of the ego, it'll take some type of stimulus, and that's what the Buddha called conditioning. And then that will fill the thoughts of our day, that will create the reactions in our body, that will create the stories in our mind. And it's just such a funny predicament. It's almost as if there is two beings within us. This very silent being that is awake and aware. is completely untouched, absolutely pure, absolutely innocent. And this presence, when we come into contact with this presence of awake awareness, we'll notice that it is peaceful, it's loving and compassionate, it's timeless and eternal. And it doesn't have a past, it doesn't have a future. This essence is radically empty. And this is what the Buddha called Buddha nature. This unconditioned awareness. If you look into the eyes of a newborn baby, this is what you see, unconditioned awareness. But that baby, it grows up in this body, and this body is absolutely conditioned. And I'm just sitting here watching my little girl be conditioned by the commercialism of Christmas. And if you just look out at all of life, like human beings are so conditioned, so utterly conditioned. I had a friend once, he lived in New York City. He was quite wealthy. And part of his conditioning was that he had a driver. And I was like, well, I didn't even know what that was. Like, what's a driver? Like, it's a man that drives you around. It's like, and he said he had to have this job. He had to make a certain amount of money so he could afford. Like the big thing was, it was that he had to have a driver. And like, I was like, where do you get this idea from? He's like, well, everyone I know has a driver. People in his family had a driver. His business associates all had drivers. And to me, it just made no sense. It's like someone to drive you around. Like, what do they do? Like when they're not driving you around, do they just wait outside? Like, what do they do? Like, what is that person doing? And like, how much does that cost? Because you got to pay for the car, and then you have to pay for someone to sit in that car. And it's a bizarre idea to me, a bizarre idea. Now, I grew up in a different way. Like my conditioning was, when you turn 16, you get your driver's license. But also my conditioning is your driver's license is no good unless you have a car. And in order to have a car, I had to get a job. So I was working, when I was 12, 13, 14, saving money, to get a car. My first car was a 1973 VW Super Beetle. And I actually saw one driving down the road today, and I pointed it out to my little girl. I was like, that's what Daddy's first car looked like. It's a bug. That's what we called it, a bug. And so that was my conditioning. Now, for some folks who live in big cities who don't have the idea of a driver, some folks who live in Europe, like I know there's some individuals in the Sangha who don't even have a driver's license, who've never driven a car. And so they had just a different type of conditioning. And whether that conditioning was they live in a country with public transportation and you don't need a car, or maybe there was fear of driving, maybe no one in their family drove, I don't know, but a different type of conditioning. And as human beings, Often we take our conditioning to be the truth. It's just like this unquestioned assumption that we have. Like me, when I grew up, the assumption was everyone who's 16, like on their 16th birthday, you are in the DMV taking your test to get your license. That's just what I thought the truth was. Whereas, my friend from New York, his truth was, you go to college, you get a high paying job, and you have a driver. You have a driver. Now, the reason I speak about this is because all these assumptions that we have, all these conditions that we have, they veil this immense non-dual reality, which is our divine nature. Our divine nature does not have the thought, I need my driver's license, or I need a driver. It doesn't have this type of thought. It doesn't have the thought, I need a Mercedes Benz. Our unconditioned awareness is whole and complete as it is. Absolutely whole and complete. There's nothing we can do to add to it. And this is the beauty of spiritual awakening, is when you wake up to the depth of what you are, you realize just in the most basic way, like the most basic realization is, I'm good. I'm good with or without a car. I'm good with or without a partner. I'm good with or without a high-paying job. I'm good with lots of money. I'm good with no money. I am fundamentally good. I am fundamentally whole and complete. I am fundamentally whole and complete. I've worked with a number of women, who they get into like the age of 45, 55, 65. And they're, grieving the fact that they don't look like that girl on the cover of Vogue anymore, that they no longer have their 18-year-old body. It's such an interesting thing that we have this idea, and our culture teaches us this, that women are supposed to be like frozen in time, the age 18, and just the perfect yoga body of an 18-year-old gymnast or something. That's what a lot of our spiritual magazines teach us. Is this the cover of Yoga Journal for years has been that. It's supposed to be young, skinny, beautiful, flexible, and look like a model. But when we connect to, when we open to true nature, we actually feel, we feel timeless, like a timeless youth, an innocence, a purity. When we look in the mirror, we see beauty, a radiant beauty. No matter how old our bones are, no matter how old our bones are. Like, I have this funny thing that goes on with my my younger brother. Like when I call him, I like to do FaceTime. I like to see his face. And one of the things that happens when he sees my face, like every time he's like, my God, you look so old. He's like talking about all this white that I have in my beard. And when I'm talking to him, from a place of true nature, I feel like I'm about 14 years old. Like that's how old my consciousness feels. I just feel this youthful joyousness when I meet with my brother. I'm just like, hey man, like what's going on? Good to see you. And he's like, and it's probably because the way, I hold my phone is it's getting this shot like up at my beard. And he's like, dang, what's going on there with that beard? You're looking old. Like it's like, and like if we go to what's that store? Walgreens, like they have a whole aisle of these colors, where you change the color and like, and one of them is like dye for gray hair. It's like, but I'm like, I can't do that. I don't want to do it. Like, I don't like messing with chemicals. I'm happy as I am. I'm happy as I am. And this is the beauty of awakening is more and more we rest in this timeless presence, this timeless essence. We're not so concerned with the form. We're not so concerned with the outer world. We're not so concerned about, I need a brand new car every 3 years or whatever it is. Like I know some people who every 2 years they'd get a new car. They always had like a brand new car. I was always like, dang, every time I get in the car with you, it's new. It's new. And every time you get in the car with me, my car gets older and older and older. but it's okay. But it's okay. And that's the beauty of awakening to your true nature. Is there's this fundamental sense of I'm good. Life is good. Life is okay. Even when it's not okay. And so the word for this is freedom. The experience of this is freedom. Where we are uncorrupted by, in this case, like the force of consumerism. That's always telling us we need a new vehicle, a new phone, new clothes. We have to look like we're, under 30 years old, even if we're older than 30 years old. We need to look really youthful all the time. And all these things the Buddha would call illusions. They're untruths. They keep us entangled in chasing something that is false. And it's funny, like this world we live in one sense, human beings are like sponges where we just absorb whatever's going on in the environment. Like my little girl walking Home Depot, they're playing Christmas music. Next thing she's asking, what's Santa bringing her? Like, what's Santa going to bring me, Dad? I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want that. And, my friend's getting a new phone, and I'm like, we're too young for phones, sweetheart. Like, that's what I'm telling her. We're too young for phones. We're not doing phones. We're not doing phones just yet. It's like, no. And it's funny too, because there's a couple kids in our class who've gotten phones already. She's in the fourth grade. And I've just noticed like the two kids who have phones, they've matured. Like their development has matured so quickly. And so they've gone from being 9 years old to automatically being teenagers, and they're doing that Snapchatting and all of that kind of stuff on the internet. And I'm like, oh my, like, no. Like my little girl, she's 9, she's almost 10. She still believes in Santa. It's like, it's crazy. Like that's how innocent she is. That's how innocent she is. Most kids outgrow Santa like in the second grade, but somehow we've preserved her innocence. And I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of that. And so a massive part of being awake in the world is us being cognizant of what are the influences that are coming into me. What have I been conditioned by? What's coming at me and how am I reacting? Am I reacting from a place of peace and truth, a place of compassion? It's interesting, like with like all of our news media, like the big corporate news media, for the last year, they've really been kind of filling our minds with supporting this war in Ukraine, and like that this is the thing to do, that we're on the side of the Ukrainians, and we need to fight this war, and we support the Ukrainian people. And by all means, like I support the Ukrainian people, but I support peace is what I support. I'm not supporting continued war, but it's like our news has fed us the story. But then with this latest war with Israel and Palestine, the media has actually been a little bit confused. They're like, how the hell are we going to spin this? How do we spin this? And at some point, I think people are waking up and realizing we don't want war. We've had enough of war. This is not the truth. This is not the truth. And I know, like, about 3 or 4 months ago, there were a lot of people trying to spin, more COVID lockdowns and this and that. And I think the world was just like, no, we don't want any more lockdowns. We don't want any more of this. We want to live our lives in an open-hearted, peaceful, communal way. We want to connect with others. We want to be in the world. We want to share love with each other. We want to experience life. And so it's so important in this day and age to be awake and to see what forces are coming at me. Like the power of the internet, the power of social media, the power of corporate media, selling us all the lies that it sells us and calling it the news. To be awake is to live in the truth. It's not to live in one perspective of this is good and that's bad. We love this one group and we hate this other group. This is not the truth. This has never been the truth. To be awake requires that we are empowered, that we think for ourselves, that we can critically discern. What are all these things coming at me? As the world leaders try to march us into war again, it's like, no, enough's enough. Enough's enough. We are beings of light. We are beings of peace. We are beings of the truth. And so it's important for us to really look from a place of mindfulness and clarity. What is the truth? Am I living the truth? And is my mind, is my humanity being manipulated from the outside? And also, am I being manipulated by my own fight or flight response, by my fear response? by this programming of this mammal body and this fear-based ego that we've all been given. If we're going to be awake, we cannot be a slave to our ego or the ego of anyone outside of us. We must be a slave to the truth. We must be a slave to compassion. That's a crazy thing to say, but what I mean is like compassion. Love is our master. The truth is our master. It's our guiding light. It's our guiding light. And together, as we join on a retreat is such a wonderful opportunity for us to say no more to these outside influences and for us to connect directly to the source of intelligence and to say yes to the highest. Yes to love. Yes to healing. Yes to reconciliation and forgiveness. Yes to kindness. Yes to the truth living through us. Living through us. And so it's interesting that some of us, our ego is so deeply rooted within us and it has so much power that sometimes people, they argue with me for the sake of their ego. And they argue trying to give me reasons why they need to hate themselves. And I'm like, my God, like, let's not argue with love. Let's love ourselves. That should not be an argument. We shouldn't hold on intensely to judgments why we are no good, why we are too old to awaken, why we are unworthy of awakening, why we are unworthy of God or unworthy of grace. Let us not hold on to these perspectives. Rather, let us hold on to love. Let us be the love, be the light, be the truth. Let us see that we are all children of God. All are worthy of love. All are worthy of healing. All are worthy of kindness. It's funny, like the homework I gave for y'all in the integration period today was to do something kind for yourself. And I hope that was not hard for anyone. But if it was hard and you did it, that's a step forward. That's a step forward. That's a step forward. Now, I've told this story many times, but my teacher, when I used to go on retreat with him, he would help like prepare my room. Like I would prepare, all the rooms for the people coming on the retreat. And then we got to my room and, he'd say, okay, Craig, like, let's go get a futon for you and let's lay it down. Let's make it nice for you. And I'd say, no. Like all I need is a sleeping bag. I'll just sleep on the floor. I got a pillow. I'll be fine. And he'd look at me like I was crazy. He's like, no, we're going to get you a bed. And I would argue, say, no, I don't need a bed. I just sleep on the floor. I don't need anything. He say, we're going to get you a bed. We're going to get you a bed, Craig. Like, it's not an argument. And here I was arguing from a place of unworthiness. Where I was denying myself comfort because I didn't think it was worth the time to go walk 2 minutes, out into the barn or whatever and get, grab one of the futons and bring it in. So that this body, so that this humanity could have a soft place to lay his head. It's like we do this silly thing of arguing to support a view of unworthiness. And unworthiness is something that was taught to us almost always by our parents. It's unfortunate, and I don't mean to blame them in such a way, but parents usually teach a child either they're worthy or they're unworthy. Sometimes a kid can really have a view that they're unworthy, from some kind of astrological conditioning or whatever. I don't want to get into that, but it's an interesting thing that a human being would fight with love. Would fight with love. Would fight just to maintain a habitual way of being. It's one of the great gifts that my wife has really helped me with. It just helped me with receiving. Because, I grew up in a way where I just always put myself last. I actually had conditioning from previous incarnations, from like monastic conditioning, where it's just like, as a monk, you live in poverty, like you have a vow of poverty. I do all this psychological work to get over that. It's like crazy amounts of healing work, just so I could receive. And it seems stupid, but like as human beings, we have so much habit within us. And these habits, whether it's a habit of being less than, a habit of being unworthy, a habit of being undeserving, a habit of just like the thought that no one loves me or whatever it is. Some of these things are so rooted within us, it can be very difficult to awaken to the perspective of, oh yeah, I'm a divine being. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of support. I'm worthy of kindness. I'm worthy of friendship. I'm worthy of community. I'm worthy of warmth and affection. But when you come into the truth of your being and you recognize that you are love, if you have this thought like, am I worthy of love? It's like, oh yeah, of course I'm worthy of love. In fact, I am love. Like, I am love. I can love myself and I can love others, and I happily receive and give love. And it's a beautiful thing that happens. As we wake up, we realize all the ways that we held ourselves back, all the ways that we held ourselves down. We see all the ways that society or our culture or our family or whoever it was taught us that we are less than. And as you wake up and realize you are the light, it's hard to imagine being less than when you know yourself as the light. And so I'm going to invite us all to continue just to play with this question of what are the things, what are the views, what are the psychological forces that veil our consciousness? What are the psychological forces that limit your light, your divine expression, that hold you back or hold you down? And are you willing, one, to see these veils? And two, you can see if you can see through them just from wisdom, just from a place of wisdom. Sometimes we see and we're like, oh yeah, I am worthy of love. Okay, I'm going to receive love. I'm going to receive love. I'm going to receive kindness. I'm going to be good to myself. I'm going to be kind to myself. I'm going to stop judging myself. I'm going to stop fearing the world. Because I know what it is that I am is indestructible. I know that this light that I am in the here and now has outlived every trauma I've ever had. And so first we recognize what the veils are. And secondly, we see through them. But for some of us, like, these things are deeply rooted within us. And when it's a deeply rooted habit, like, for example, unworthiness, often our body needs us to respond with a long-term consistent love. A long-term consistent love to the places inside that feel unworthy. And we break this habit by killing it with kindness, by flooding it with love, by teaching it with peace and compassion. And so this is the path of spiritual awakening. This is the path of healing. This is the path of the evolution of consciousness. Consciousness evolves. Humanity evolves through a greater wisdom and a greater love and a greater strength. And so I hope you will all join me in this divine endeavor as we walk forward into the light, growing and expanding every day. Sharing your light and your love, first with yourself and then with the world. First with yourself and then with the world. And for those of you who think, oh, it's selfish to be kind to yourself, it's like, what kind of thought is that? You are the world. You are the world. It's the law of oneness teaches us. Through being kind to ourselves, we're being kind to the world. And the kinder, more loving you are to yourself, the more fully you awaken to your own divinity. We begin to see the divinity of all of this world, of all of creation. And this is how the world transforms. And so much love to each of you. A deep bow of respect to all of you who showed up on retreat, gave so much, shared so much, loved so much. Let us continue to walk forward into the light. May peace triumph here on planet Earth. Let's all use the beauty and the divinity of our heart to shine love to the Middle East, shine love into Ukraine, shine love into the hearts of our world leaders who have gotten so off course. Let us shine love, shine light, shine peace into the confusion and the chaos of this world. Let us all be beacons of light in these times of darkness. So much love to each of you. Good night, everyone. I'll see you soon.